Hi everyone! I am going to talk to you about my journey, including my weight loss and things that I've been through in my life that have contributed to it. So, a lot of you know the fact that I've been over 200 pounds. And when I talk about my weight, I'll tell you I've been over 200 pounds. It started with small changes, with changing up my eating a little bit, starting to work out, and that was just kind of how it happened. Which is all true. But we all know that we don't gain that much weight, especially when I was as young as I was, by just eating one Oreo. There's a lot more to it. And it's not my entire story. There's a lot that I've been through that contributes to it. So for me, I was born into a family with a mom, obviously mom and dad, and they were divorced. Everything was finalized by the time that I was 6 months old. Because I was so young, I didn't really take the brunt of that relationship. But shortly after that came my stepdad. And he was in the picture, married my mom, seemed like a great guy at first. And then physical abuse started to happen with my brother and my mom from my stepdad, and then came sexual abuse with me. And so for me, home just wasn't a place that felt secure, that felt safe, that felt confident. So after years of abuse, going through Child Protective Services and all kinds of things that just were not fun, I turned to food. As bad as it is, it was the one thing that I thought, for one, if I take longer at meals, then maybe it will allow less time for the bad things to happen that were happening in our family. That way I would feel almost a little more secure. So I would take more time eating. I would eat more food. The more meals I would have, the more time that it meant that it was being filled with something that wasn't abusive. So in addition to that, also with the sexual abuse, I came to a point where it was like, well, if I just keep gaining weight, I won't be seen as, easy as a victim. I wouldn't be attractive. And so it was really just a sick cycle that I would just continue to go to. And then it just became habit. And unfortunately, at that point, it was just so spiraled out of control because this went on for many, many years. And then once we did get away from my stepdad, unfortunately, there was another extremely close family member who then started with physical abuse with me. Again, not fun to deal with at all. But again, the thing that I've learned to kind of save me and, make a happier time was our eating time. So again, it turned right back around. The longer I could take with meals, the more I could eat with meals, the more meals I could have is where it truly started. Because that was really the only time that I really felt safe. And so it just became that constant cycle and was back in my life yet again, which really continued through the time that I was moving out of the house. And then I went off to college. And I just kind of pushed everything I'd been through in my life down and just didn't really deal with it. And a lot of the abuse was when I was so young that, it was like, I don't really remember it. I don't know. Just kind of pushed it away. And so come college time, finally out on my own, coming into my own person, realizing who I am and what I'm like on my own, everything crashed down and came back to kind of haunt me. And, I was thinking about it all the time, and I was going through a time where I didn't know if I should open up the CPS records and see what details I heard versus things I remember from so young to what was really noted. And again, food became my go-to. It was the only safe thing that I knew. It was just that comfort zone. So I constantly was going up and down in my weight, gained a bunch of weight. I actually have a roommate who, if she watches this, she'll laugh because she would always walk in and I would literally go to bed with food. I would have cookies in bed or popcorn in bed, something. It was just that constant needing food around in my life. So after college, finally started gaining some confidence and learning how to deal better with the situations I'd been through in my life. And it kind of came to that point where I realized that I had to make a choice. Yeah, the things I went through weren't fun. They were hard. Nobody should ever have to deal with them. And any of my friends or anyone I come in contact with, if they're in that situation, I will be there to help them. But I had to deal with it, and I had to decide, was it going to be something that was going to just completely ruin my entire life and negatively impact me, or is it something that I would use to help others possibly, or grow from and just become a better person? And then I also had to go through that time where I had to realize that it wasn't my fault and I should not have been in that situation. But unfortunately, when you're 6 years old, you're just too young to get out of it on your own. So it was definitely a huge learning time. And through that is when, the shortened version of my story, I did learn to start having better eating habits. I wasn't taught great eating habits growing up. My mom was also attacked at work and disabled, so she didn't have a huge income for the largest part of our life. And so, we were eating on a budget, but didn't know how to eat healthy on a budget at the time. So that was something that I learned, and just starting to make some of those better eating choices. And then I started working out. Most of my weight did come off then. But from then on, I still had the constant up and down, didn't know how to properly get there. Until recently, I started with Beachbody, and I saw a friend had posted something about an accountability group, and I knew that was the missing link that I needed for me. I'd work out with trainers, or I'd go to the gym, I'd have the memberships, but even if it's just 3 times a week, I was destroying it in the kitchen at home, and I wasn't working out consistently enough. So for me, that was the absolute missing link that I needed. It was the accountability. It was somebody who would share eating tips with me, recipes, and that's really how I've gotten to where I am today. Now, I'm still on my weight loss journey. Everybody can always wait to gain some more muscle or whatever their goals are, but this is definitely where I've come from, and that is what has formed me along the way and kind of my full story. So thank you so much for listening.